I stood alone at my mother's bedside. The machines slowed before my mother did. Her breaths came soft, shallow, as if she had already left and only the body remained, performing one last ritual. I held her hand. Cold, papery, fragile. The chair beside me was empty. It had been empty all night. My wife had a party with her boss. My father claimed a prior commitment. My kids chose prom over grandpa. The doctor gave me a look that tried to be compassionate but only confirmed what I already knew. No one else was coming. When he left, the silence thickened. Then the door opened again. Not family, not a friend, a lawyer, my mother's. He carried a sealed envelope, heavy, deliberate. He placed it in my hand with a glance that avoided my eyes. "This was her last instruction," he said. "For you, only you." Then he left me alone. The envelope trembled slightly against my palm, though my hand did not. I slid it open. One page, a single message, written in her careful script, and it was enough to collapse the world I thought I knew. She had written, "The truth was never what you believed. Your father isn't your father." I read the words twice, then folded the paper neatly, as if tidiness could hold back the chaos flooding my chest. I did not gasp, I did not weep. I simply sat in the dim hospital room, my mother's lifeless hand still in mine, and stared at the space where she had once breathed. Not my father. The man who raised me, lectured me, scolded me, ignored me. The man who left this very hospital tonight because a prior commitment outweighed watching his wife die. Not my father. And she hadn't written who, only that sentence. Cold, final. I left the hospital carrying both my mother's death and her confession like matching weights pressing into my ribs. At home, my wife slept soundlessly, phone face down on the nightstand, glowing faint with notifications. I watched her for a long time. Too long. A memory surfaced uninvited. Her laugh at the boss's party. The way her phone calls grew quieter over the past months. How she dismissed questions with sharpness meant to cut conversation short. I had ignored it. Believed convenience over instinct. Not anymore. Betrayal was a family inheritance, it seemed. The next morning, I began collecting. Quietly. Systematically. My mother's letter stayed folded in my wallet, its weight constant. I searched for answers the way some men pray, silently, with ritual precision. I started with my wife. Phone records, late-night calls, deleted threads. I retrieved them anyway. A pattern emerged. Her boss's number. Repeated. Daily. Receipts next. Restaurant charges when she told me she was working late. Hotel bookings under company accounts. I said nothing. I made breakfast, kissed her cheek, wished her a good day. Inside, I kept count. Then, my father, or the man I had called father. I remembered his distance, the way he never seemed quite attached to me, like I was a duty fulfilled rather than a son. I ordered a DNA test, swabbed my own mouth one night in the bathroom, sent it away like a message in a bottle. Waiting became a discipline. On the surface, life continued. Inside, the storm gathered. At night, I lay awake beside a woman whose body turned away from mine, and I thought about bloodlines, about lies embedded into decades. I thought about my children, their laughter, their faces, and I wondered how many truths were hollow. The results arrived on a gray morning, slipped inside a thin envelope no different than any bill. I opened it at the kitchen table while my wife showered upstairs. Negative. The man I called father was not mine. My mother's last words were truth, but no replacement name was given, only absence. My bloodline was a question mark. I set the paper down. My hands did not shake. Only a slow, steady detachment settled in. When my wife came downstairs, wrapped in a towel, humming softly, I watched her, and I asked, calm as still water, "Did you have a good time at the party?" She froze. Her eyes darted. She smiled, too quickly, Of course. Why? I slid her phone across the table. I had unlocked it. Printed messages, receipts, dates, times. Her face cracked. She whispered my name, but I did not answer. I simply watched her unravel, one lie at a time. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't curse. I laid the DNA results beside the hotel receipts. 2 betrayals aligned like matching wounds. My father isn't my father, I said flatly. And my wife isn't my wife. She began to cry, but her tears meant less than silence. I packed her things into suitcases that afternoon. No shouting, no scene. Just folded her dresses neatly, zipped them, and placed them by the door. When she begged, I listened without expression. When she swore it was a mistake, I stared at the wall behind her. You chose him, I said finally. And like my father chose his commitments, and my children chose their dance, you chose your absence. Their dance. You chose your absence. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Contact ended. Permanently. That night, the house was silent. Suitcases gone, wife gone, children still away. I sat at the table with 2 envelopes in front of me, my mother's letter and the DNA test. One revealed origin. The other revealed betrayal. Together, they stripped away illusions. I was no one's son, no one's husband, no one's fool. Strangely, I felt lighter, as if by removing the false ties, I had finally found truth. I folded the letters once more, slid them into a drawer, and extinguished the light. There would be no more questions, no more pretending. The last thing my mother gave me was clarity, and clarity is colder than love. I walked away from every lie that night, and for the first time, I was truly alone, yet freer than anyone who stayed.